the European Union, the Luxembourg Development Aid, the Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, as well as many other esteemed partners of Rwandan government supporting the skills development sector in Rwanda, such as BUKU, Donor Committee for Dual Vocational Education and Training, the Swiss Contact Expertise Friends, the Lorenzo, to mention but a few. Among us, we have dignitaries, to mention the Minister of Education and the Minister of Public Service and Labor, ambassadors, heads of corporation, country directors and representatives of donors and development partners, and other organizations. In this event, we have participants like government representatives from Rwanda and abroad. We have development partners. We have TVET providers. We have TVET experts, local and international. We have also private sector representatives, industry associations, company owners, employers, and entrepreneurs, but also students. We have countries participating in this conference, to mention Kenya, Burkina Faso, Uganda, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Gambia, Nigeria, Congo, Burundi, South Africa, Sudan, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Germany, the Netherlands, France, the UK, Italy, Portugal, Canada, Korea, Japan, and India. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again at this conference, the Global Skills Connect 2025. Without taking much time on the stage, I would love to welcome Honorable Minister of Education, Joseph Sengimana, on the stage. Please give a round of applause to him as he steps forward to the stage. Welcome, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Minister of Public Service and Labor, distinguished members of the diplomatic corps here present, government officials, chairperson of the Private Sector Federation, distinguished delegates, esteemed development partners, expert speakers from so many countries that was listed just a while ago, private sector representative, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Allow me to warmly welcome you to the Global Skills Connect Conference, an integral part of the Rwanda Future Skills Forum 2025. This forum serves as a strategic platform to consolidate Rwanda's effort in skills development, workforce transformation, and international cooperation, fully aligned with Vision 2050 and the National Strategic for Transformation. Our objective in convening this forum is clear: to bring together expertise from across the globe to collectively explore solutions to the pressing challenges of skill development, not only here in Rwanda, but across the region and beyond. At the core of this initiative lies a commitment to strong partnership between TVET, institution, and industry. These collaborations are critical to ensure that our systems of training remain demand-driven, relevant, and capable of fueling economic transformation. Dear participants, we live in an era of rapid change. Artificial intelligence, digitization, and automation are redefining the workplace. Adapting to these new realities is urgent, and no country should be left behind. Over the next 2 days, we will hear from leading global voices, learn from one another, and reflect on our shared challenges. This is a unique opportunity to rethink our approaches and elevate our skill development system to global standards. In Rwanda, we place TVET at the center of our development agenda. Today, we are proud to count 596 TVET schools and 5 polytechnics across the country. Through models such as dual training and workplace learning, we are strengthening links within the industry to ensure relevance and impact. We are also investing in TVET centers of excellence, modern institutions equipped with cutting-edge technology and tailored to meet the evolving needs of our economy. Distinguished guests, alongside this conference, we are hosting a vibrant TVET Expo just next door with 158 exhibitors from training institution and private sector. The Expo is a showcase of innovation, talent, and evolving labor market trends. Rwanda is also proud to be a member of the World Skill Africa and is currently hosting a national skills competition, bringing together 94 competitors across 13 trades in celebration of talent and technical excellence. I encourage all of you to visit the Expo just next door, and it will be a first-hand insight, or will provide you with a first-hand insight into our ongoing commitment to building a skilled and competitive workforce. I trust this forum will be meaningful to you all and will spark bold ideas and lead to practical, forward-looking recommendations. Most importantly, I hope it reinforces our shared resolve to build a resilient, future-ready workforce. Thank you once again for being here, and I wish you engaging and fruitful discussion in the next 2 days. Thank you very much.
I would ask for another round of applause to the Honorable Minister, please. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for inviting all the guests to the Expo just next door. It's very interesting and amazing, with full of innovations and technology. I invite you and don't miss. Before I go to the next speaker, I was welcoming the host. I'm going to give the mic to Lion Imanzi, that everybody knows in this country. He's now going to take the mic and warm the public as I give you the floor, Mr. Lion.
Thank you very much indeed. Can we give a big round of applause one more time for the Honorable Minister, Honorable Joseph Nsengimana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Global Skills Connect 2025. Now, to give us an idea or an overview of the theme and what we are to expect for the next 48 hours, I would like to kindly invite our Director General of Rwanda TVET Board, Engineer Paul Umukunzi. Can we give him a big round of applause, please? You are most welcome, sir.
Good. Honorable Ministers here present, distinguished guests from various corners of the globe, good morning once again. So today is a very big day in TVET in Rwanda. We are so excited, and we are so grateful to see you here present. We shall be, yes, thank you very much. Today we have a lot to discuss. We shall be discussing about TVET, about skills development, about the journey we are undertaking as we try to transform our countries economically, as we try to create jobs for our youth, as we try to have sustainable economic development in our countries. This forum is for us and will remain in our heads. It's memorable, something we shall never forget, something that has never happened before, but we shall make it. And we are here to discuss. We are here to exchange, to network, to develop partnerships. We have stakeholders from the private sector. We have public institutions. We have training providers across all the continent of Africa and beyond. And we have expert speakers in various areas related to job creation and skills development. So we are here to network, to exchange, and to try to learn from each other. So we have a presentation, if you can put on the screen. Yes, this is the purpose of the conference and this forum. I have already elaborated on it. So, but most importantly, you know, Africa is a very rich continent. It's a continent rich in natural resources, but most importantly, it's a continent rich in people. Our population is very young. Did you know that 70% of our citizens are less than 30 years old? They are very young, and they have their future in their hands. And the African continent is a hope for the globe, because in the next few years, we shall be the one providing skilled labor in the entire world. So we need to get prepared. We need to get ready. But the challenge we have as of today is the mismatch between the skills that we are supplying and the skills that the globe needs. So we need to change. And we are here to discuss and elaborate more on that and see what are the strategies we can use to make sure that the skills development systems we have in our country, on our continent, are meeting the labor market requirements. And they are in line with the current technological development at the global level. So we need to get prepared. Now in this conference, we shall be discussing, brainstorming, exchanging ideas to see how we can be like a game changer and make sure that our continent will be the dream we have, will be what we dream it to be in the future. So I call upon everyone to bring in new ideas, to exchange, and to provide feedback. And after this conference, we believe that we shall have recommendations. Recommendations to the government of Rwanda, recommendations to the government of African countries, and recommendations to any other country really committed to invest in youth and to empower them and to create jobs for them. Now, as a country in Rwanda, we have some strategies, we have set some priorities, but we still have also some challenges. As a country, we have a vision, Vision 2050, to transform this country into an economic power. And this requires robust skills development systems which empower youth and make them find jobs and drive the national economic transformation. We are doing a lot. The government of Rwanda has committed to create 250,000 jobs every year. It's quite a challenge. But as we brainstorm here, we shall find strategies to achieve this. We are also trying to make sure that our youth understand TVET, they understand technical education, which has been initially perceived as a pathway for those ones who are less talented. But we are changing this mindset, this perception. And through this, as Honorable Minister has just mentioned, we are trying to establish TVET centers of excellence, which will be meeting international standards. Excellence in skills development will be one of the subjects for discussion today and tomorrow. And I call upon everyone to provide inputs, ideas on how we can achieve excellence in technical education. We also need to have an inclusive and gender-balanced skills development system. So inclusion will be one of the topics that we shall be discussing today. And again, as I said, we still have challenges that we need to overcome. So how do we have a sustainable financing system for skills development in our countries? It's quite a challenge, not only in Rwanda, but also in many other countries on our continent. But we can find solutions. We can find a way we can have modern, conducive learning environment in our schools. So we can find mechanisms to have high qualitative training resources, equipment. We can find mechanisms to train our teachers and trainers and to make sure that they comply with standards as far as technical and pedagogical aspects are concerned. So we can make it, we can do it, and I believe that everyone in the room is ready to contribute to this vision. Now, as I conclude, just to remind you that we are here to think, we are here to network, we are here to find a way the private sector, academia can collaborate. We are here to see how we can use all the resources we have to achieve more, and we are here to provide strategic guidance and orientation and recommendations to governments across the continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Can we give him a big round of applause one more time? Our Director General, Engineer Paul Umukunzi. Now, without further ado, I would like to also invite to the floor for a vote of thanks the Deputy Director of Cooperation at the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation and co-chair of the TVET Subsector Working Group, Dr. Michel Eveco.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister of Public Service and Labor, Honorable Minister of Education, dear permanent secretaries, DGs, DDGs, and governmental officials, the acting chair of the Private Sector Federation, and also all representatives of the private sector here in this room, member of the TVET subsector working groups and fellows development partners, passionate education and training practitioners, guests from Africa and other parts of the world, youth in training, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, as we say. Good morning, bonjour, Mahamudse. As a representative of development partners in my function of co-chair of the TVET subsector working group, it is an honor to be given the opportunity to say a few words today. This event represents a cornerstone step on the journey to building a resilient, skilled, and future-ready workforce in Rwanda and in Africa. First of all, let me commend Rwanda's government commitment to technical and vocational education and training. We, development partners, share Rwanda's vision to ensuring that TVET continues to be a powerful driver of economic development, youth empowerment, and social inclusion. However, this mission cannot be accomplished by the government and the development partner alone. In addition to our strong collaboration, a stronger partnership with the private sector is absolutely needed. Engaging the private sector is essential to ensuring that education and training programs provide young men and women market-relevant skills and attitude that align with the evolving demand of the industry and the need of Rwanda's growing economy. More than simply benefiting from a skilled workforce, the private sector must actively participate in the activities of the system, developing curricula, supporting workplace learning models that have proven to drive excellence and employability. In that regard, let me share you a personal memory with you. When I was a young boy, starting my secondary school, I was puzzled, but also very impressed by one of my uncles. He went through a dual apprenticeship in agriculture, and was a farmer having a medium-sized orchard with apple, pears, and grapes. And once a year, he was hired by the provincial agricultural school to test the technical skills and the knowledge of graduates. I would ask myself how a farmer could be equal to a professor and be expert in testing the young student, passing the exam. But It is exactly what a well-functioning TVET system is all about. Private sector representatives examine whether students have the right skills and attitude to enter the world of labor. Sorry. Indeed, a high-performing TVET system requires real-world industry exposure, mentorship, and innovation, all of which can only be provided through a strong collaboration. Therefore, we call on business leaders to embrace this endeavor, to guide us in defining future skills that Rwanda is needed, and invest in talent development for Rwanda's and Africa's long-term economic prosperity. Dear guests from Africa and beyond, we would like to particularly welcome you here in Kigali. Your presence is honoring us. As mentioned by DG Paul, to our elderly brothers and sisters, please share with us your valuable experience and knowledge. We need to learn the best from you to progress toward the ambitious goals that Rwanda is aiming at. And to our youngest brothers and sisters, we are also pleased that you are here today. We are ready to share with you the results and the lessons of our journey, and even to accompany you in your own journey. I've seen that there are young people here coming from the most probably TVET school and the youth in training. Let me tell you a second story that impressed me about a couple of years ago. In Switzerland, a very important banking company has appointed a new director general. And it turned out that that person, when he was 16 years old, he has entered a dual training apprenticeship in that bank. And after a couple of years of hard work, strong commitment, he was then appointed as DG of the same bank. And it is one of the 10 biggest banking company in the world. So, as already mentioned by DG Paul before, TVET is not a second choice career. TVET is for creative minds, for skillful people, for passionate young women and men who want to enjoy and fulfilling their professional life. Distinguished guests, at the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, we believe that dual training approaches with full qualification in which learning occurs in both the classroom and the real-world industry settings is one of the powerful ways to go here in Rwanda. The pilot implementation in Rwanda has shown great promise in bridging the skills gap. With the new program, we are now directly supporting the Rwanda TVET board to roll it out. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, as development partner, we are committed to supporting Rwanda's aspiration by providing expertise, resources, and innovative strategies while upholding the principle of equal center partnership that is guiding the work of our subsector working group. Today, I urge all here present to embrace bold, collaborative efforts in developing Rwanda's and Africa's future workforce. Together, let's create a responsive, inclusive, innovation-driven skills ecosystem that ensure all young men and women the opportunity to aspire to a dignified life and a meaningful contribution to Rwanda's economy. Let us make skill development a shared responsibility, an investment in human potential, and the future of Rwanda and Africa. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce qu'on peut applaudir? Can we please give him a big round of applause one more time? The name threw me off. I was starting to speak in French. Now, it's been said earlier that the majority of people in Rwanda are under 30. Can you believe that I myself have been turning 30 for the past 20 years? I have to stay relevant. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to, it's my great honor to introduce to us our guest of honor, the Minister of Public Service and Labor, the Honorable Ambassador Christine Mulikinga. Can we please give her a big round of applause?
Honorable Minister of Education, members of the diplomatic corps, chair of the public sector federation, distinguished delegates, esteemed partners from government, from the private sector and development agencies, leaders in technical and vocational education training, innovators and visionaries, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good morning. It is a great honor to join you at this Rwanda Future Skills Forum 2025, a unique and timely gathering at the intersection of skills, innovation, and inclusive economic transformation. We are proud to host this global event here in Kigali at a time when the future of work demands fresh thinking, new partnerships, and bolder action. We are gathered here under the unifying mission to rethink and realign education, training, and employment systems to meet the demands of the 21st century economy. Technologies like artificial intelligence, automation, green energy, biotech, blockchain, and other digital platforms are rapidly transforming our societies. The question is, are our institutions, our educators, and our youth ready for that future? Are our people equipped with the right skills to thrive in the economies of tomorrow? This requires embedding digital literacy, data analysis, critical thinking, and innovation into our educational frameworks. It means creating agile training programs that can respond to the rapid shifts in technology. And it means building a culture where continuous learning is not an option, but a necessity. And most importantly, technical and vocational training must no longer be viewed as a fallback, but recognized as a strategic driver of national development. Ladies and gentlemen, the end goal is not training for its own sake. It is creating productive, decent, and meaningful jobs. And that means ensuring that skills are directly linked to economic opportunities through startups, entrepreneurships, digital platforms, and industrial growth. Our national TVET strategy is now firmly competency-based and labor market-driven. We are empowering young people with not only technical knowledge, but with the tools to create their own futures as entrepreneurs, as problem solvers, and as innovators. But to succeed, we must deepen the triple helix partnership: government, industry, and academia working hand in hand. The private sector, and I'm so happy that they are well represented here today, the private sector must be a co-owner of this agenda, designing curricula, mentoring students, offering internships, and co-investing in skills ecosystems. Government, for our part, we will create the policy and regulatory environment that enables such innovation to flourish. Distinguished guests, another key pillar is regional integration. With over 43 countries represented here today, this forum is truly global, but it is also deeply African. We must harmonize qualification, enhance mobilities, and create regional centers of excellence. The Future Skills Forum is a platform for shared learning, policy alignment, and practical cooperation across borders. Whether in East Africa or beyond, our common future depends on our ability to grow and deploy our human capital collectively. Earlier this week, I had the pleasure of visiting the TVET exhibition and skills competition Honorable Minister Joseph mentioned, and I also joined him to invite you really to visit the exhibition. So the energy, the creativity, and technical ability of our youth was inspiring. But their success must be more than a moment. It must be scalable and sustainable. That requires investing in modern training facilities, qualified trainers, cutting-edge tools, and stronger industry linkages. TVET must be agile, respected, and integrated with our innovation and industrialization policies. In Rwanda, you've heard it, we are making this shift, and we are here to both share our experience, but also to learn from your side. So, Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, let me end with a call to action, because the time to act is now. Let us make this forum a turning point. Let it not be a conversation that ends when the lights go off, but the beginning of transformational partnerships, pilot projects, regional frameworks, and real investment in people. As we engage during this forum, let us do so with urgency and clarity. The youth of Africa are watching. They expect systems that prepare them, but not exclude them, that lift them up and not leave them behind. On behalf of the government of Rwanda, I thank you for your commitment, your collaboration, and your belief in a future where skills are a shared responsibility. Let us move forward boldly, practically, and together. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. One more time for the Honorable Minister, Honorable Ambassador Christine Nkurikiinka. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, we want to thank you once again for joining us this morning at the Global Skills Connect 2025. Now, I understand that our guests have some other pressing business to attend to, so I would like to kindly invite our Director General and all our VIPs to please join us for a group photo before we start the day today. So if we can please come here at the front, and we'll take a picture all together, I believe all the front row. There you go. Some can stand right over there and the others up here, so that we can all fit in the picture. There you go. Thank you very much indeed. Can we give them a big round of applause one more time? Thank you very much indeed. So, continuing with the program, I would like to invite our technical team to please introduce to us the video. There's a video that is going to be played, and then we'll give you a welcome that is fitting to such an audience, the way we welcome people here in Rwanda with a culture troupe. If you have not yet experienced Rwandan culture troupes, I would like to tell you that it is a sight to be seen. So if we can play the video, please, and then we'll continue with our program. Accelerating national development requires bold choices. Rwanda's strategic investment in skills has proven pivotal for driving inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. Not so long ago, TVET was overlooked, a path considered less worthy, a road less traveled. From 2020 to 2025, under the leadership of the Ministry of Education through Rwanda TVET Board and Rwanda Polytechnic, a nationwide transformation took shape, redefining education, reshaping the workforce, and restoring pride in practical skills. Rwanda now hosts 596 TVET schools and 14 polytechnics spread across the nation, making technical education accessible to every corner. The collaboration with the private sector through dual training and other forms of workplace learning has been strengthened. From carpentry to coding, mechanics to mechatronics, Rwanda's youth are trained not just to work, but to lead. Skills development has been a powerful engine for job creation in Rwanda, contributing to over 200,000 new jobs annually and positioning TVET as a key driver of national economic transformation. TVET is inclusive. It empowers all: women, youth, people with disabilities, the next generation of problem solvers. With digital skills now a priority, TVET institutions have embraced technology like never before. Rwanda Polytechnic and the Rwanda TVET Board are future-proofing education with innovation-led training. These are not just trends, they are fields where students now specialize. Together, the institutions are establishing TVET centers of excellence across Rwanda, training hubs where technology meets purpose. TVET is evolving because Rwanda is evolving. The roads, power grids, software, and machines, all built by skilled hands, shaped by TVET training. From rejection to recognition, from underdog to driver of national transformation, TVET is not just an option, it's the engine powering Rwanda's future. That was absolutely beautiful. As we are getting ready to witness the wonder that is Rwandan culture through music and dance and drumming, can we watch this one more time? Oh, I absolutely love it, but I missed some part. I was reading on my phone. Accelerating national development requires bold choices. Rwanda's strategic investment in skills has proven pivotal for driving inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. Not so long ago, TVET was overlooked, a path considered less worthy, a road less traveled. From 2020 to 2025, under the leadership of the Ministry of Education through Rwanda TVET Board and Rwanda Polytechnic, a nationwide transformation took shape, redefining education, reshaping the workforce, and restoring pride in practical skills. Rwanda now hosts 596 TVET schools and 14 polytechnics spread across the nation, making technical education accessible to every corner. The collaboration with the private sector through dual training and other forms of workplace learning has been strengthened. From carpentry to coding, mechanics to mechatronics, Rwanda's youth are trained not just to work, but to lead. Skills development has been a powerful engine for job creation in Rwanda, contributing to over 200,000 new jobs annually and positioning TVET as a key driver of national economic transformation. TVET is inclusive. It empowers all: women, youth, people with disabilities, the next generation of problem solvers. With digital skills now a priority, TVET institutions have embraced technology like never before. Rwanda Polytechnic and the Rwanda TVET Board are future-proofing education with innovation-led training. These are not just trends, they are fields where students now specialize. Together, the institutions are establishing TVET centers of excellence across Rwanda, training hubs where technology meets purpose. TVET is evolving because Rwanda is evolving. The roads, power grids, software, and machines, all built by skilled hands, shaped by TVET training. From rejection to recognition, from underdog to driver of national transformation, TVET is not just an option, it's the engine powering Rwanda's future. There you go. A big round of applause one more time. And now, as promised, ladies and gentlemen, in Rwanda, when we have such gatherings, we like to welcome people through dance, through drumming, and through singing. And who better to do this than the #1 culture troupe in Rwanda? Can you please put your hands together and welcome with us our very own Inyamibwa culture troupe. A big round of applause for them as they showcase Rwanda at its best.
Amazi ya nyanja urubambingwe umva rero we dore amazi ya nyanja urubambingwe umva rero we dore amazi ya nyanja urubambingwe umva rero we dore amazi ya nyanja
maze uhone nyamuribo uhone nyamuribo hari urwo woga erega rero maze uhone rutikura giturwa gitinywa maze uhone wambungira mihigo rero erega hone rero maze abakobwa b'u Rwanda mwiyegeranye maze mwiburiye mwarayo mwiriwe ntarongo erega rero maze uhani rutikura giturwa gitigo maze uhani wembungira mihigo rero erega rero maze mpambura imawona maze hero mbyukurutse ubukobombe erega rero
mangazaye wayibuza abagabo barwarenda shengera ibyayigirishema nanone wari rutikura giturwa gitirwa abagabo barwarenda imbere y'urugamba wari rwabarerwa muri banyi bagabo barwarenda akanaga karakomunanga kamukamutwari intwari gabanye n'urumuzisagara uwambaye inzobe mu nda iyo ni mpangazaga abahungu dore ko yiriwe yibohoza yarayibyayigira ishema imbere y'urugamba kandi ikiryo uzacyarikiza abagabo barwarenda wari rutsimbi rw'umusore rutigeza abagabo mu ntanga mu iyo ni mpagazaga abahungu dore ko yiriwe yibohoza yarayibyayigira ishema wari rwahama rw'umuhungu bagabo barwarenda wari rusindije we hamenye ndetse imbere y'urugamba wari rutikura giturwa gitirwa abagabo barwarenda abo n'abahungu b'inyamirwa z'u Rwanda iyo mwatarabye murate iyo ni mpagaza y'urwego dore ko yiriwe yibohoza yarayibyayigira ishema mu burabuzi bw'abo bagabo barwarenda Nimuzatumaringa gahinda nanone Nayurugamba Wani rwakirangi kirangirira cy'amako Wani rumena ringabo n'ingoma nanone Yoni mpagaza kabaho Yarayigirishema Wani rwamarara nanone Wani rwamurimbanyi bahungu
Wow, a big round of applause to the best culture troupe in Rwanda, Inyamibwa Culture Troupe. Now, I hope you were paying attention because before you leave Rwanda, we are going to require you to do the exact same dance. I'm joking, of course. Now, let's get into it and let's get after it. In such a session, it is obvious that one of the main things to do is to share best practices and experiences. Now we're going to have a panel discussion on global best practices examples in TVET, focus on future skills right here at the Kilimanjaro Ballroom. And to do so, I'm going to welcome our panelists. Let me start with our first panelist. She is the Vice Chancellor of Rwanda Polytechnic. Let's welcome Dr. Sylvie Mucyo. Dr. Sylvie Mucyo, apart from being the Vice Chancellor of Rwanda Polytechnic, she is an environmental scientist by training, research, and former lecturer of environmental sciences at the University of Rwanda. A big round of applause for her one more time. Our next panelist is the Deputy Head and Lead of Thematic Expertise, Donor Committee for Dual Vocational Education and Training, Europe, that is Switzerland, Germany, Austria, and Liechtenstein. Let's welcome Ms. Christine von Harak. A big round of applause, please. Now, she's an economist and a TVET expert of long trajectory. She has extensive experience in linking industries and schools for a gradual implementation of the dual vocational education approach. One more time, a big round of applause for Christine. Our next panelist is the lead education specialist at World Bank at World Bank. She's a Harvard Graduate School of Education. Let me repeat that, lead education specialist at World Bank, Harvard Graduate School of Education, Washington, D.C. Let us welcome Dr. Xiaoyan Liang. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Liang. Our next panelist is the CEO of School Medics Consulting founder of the Schools Symposium, Nigeria. Let's welcome Ms. Victoria Vani Shodende. Let us also welcome the Executive Secretary of the National Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training in Tanzania, Dr. Mwajuma Ibrahim Lingwanda. And to lead our panel discussion, we have as a moderator none other than the Senior Technical Advisor of the Rwanda TVET Board, Ms. Boriana Georgieva. One more time for Georgiana, for Boriana. One more time. The floor is all yours.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for coming today. We are really, really excited to have you all here. Thank you. And against all odds that TVET is male-dominated, today we have a panel and this is not by coincidence. So we have a panel of prominent experts and women passionate about education and technical and vocational education and skills development. So we hope that it would be a useful discussion where we will have insights shared from various parts of the world and various countries. So without further ado, if you allow me, I will proceed with the first question. And I hope we have some time for questions from the audience at the end. Thank you. So, Dr. Mucho, the first question is to you. What are currently the skills on demand in Rwanda, and what are the mechanisms and techniques that we are applying to actually ensure that the technical and vocational education and training are relevant to the labor market demands? Thank you.
Thank you, Bariana. I thank you also for the opportunity to be on this platform. The question I would answer by looking at what the country has put forward as its strategy, especially in the industrial strategy of Rwanda. So it has focused mainly on sectors, key sectors such as agro-processing, construction, pharmaceuticals, ICT, and all these sectors also have other connected services around it. And here we are talking about logistics and transport, but also other emerging technologies that allow the increased productivity and efficiency. So we're talking about robotics, we are talking about blockchain, we're talking about AI. So all these show us that these are the current needs, but also the future skills needs, if we are looking at the Vision 2035 that the Rwanda has. But also, if we are also looking at the Made in Rwanda policy that also focus on agro-processing and light manufacturing, and here also we are talking about other post-harvest technologies, including cold chain. And for the light manufacturing, of course, we are talking about clothing and other processing raw materials and assembling manufacturing sectors. So these kind of give us a picture of the skills need, which also we have started to invest in when you're talking about education and training. And here we are talking about new programs, either at polytechnic level or university level, that are tapping into responding to the skills need. Like recently, when we graduated last week, we have introduced new programs that actually aligned with these sectors. I'm talking about horticulture, I'm talking about e-commerce, I'm talking about industrial automation, electrical automation rather, and other sectors that really align with the skills need. And actually those are the graduates that are most sought after because of these new industries in this sector. And at the TVET level, if I'm talking about at the basic TVET level, you also have investment in producing or in training at the short-term level, but the skills that directly go into the labor market. We're talking about dual training. We've mentioned it in the speeches earlier. And the dual trainings are also looking at raising a critical mass of people who have not followed probably formal education, but still you require those technical skills in those sectors. If you're talking about agro-processing at that level, at that technical level or technician level, you're talking about this textile industry and garment industry. So these are some of the aspects that are being tackled on. And another important thing is also, which I don't forget, is the essential skills, also to boost productivity, but also adaptability with the ever-changing market and economies. Soft skills are very important. Critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication skills. These are some of the skills that are highly valued by the private sector that allows efficiency, productivity, but also adaptability. Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Mucho. The next question goes to you, Dr. Rwanda. Can you please share with us how is Tanzania dealing with the needs for skills, and what is the role of TVET for sustainable economic development? Thank you.
Thank you, Boriana. Good morning, everyone. And I'm very honored to be here on behalf of the National Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training in Tanzania. And I thank the organizers for their thoughtful planning, having all of us together here to discuss this very important topic. It's a huge responsibility to plan for future skills. I think you will agree with me, because what if you mess up? I mean, you mess up on the future. It's also a quite significant responsibility to discuss about future skills. So in Tanzania, our experience, we have the national strategy for skills. We call it NSDS. And this strategic document is supposed to guide us through a period of 10 years by identifying the skills that will be needed within that period of time. And it's usually developed through thorough consultations with the stakeholders, but also observing trends of skills development worldwide. But also, for example, now we are reviewing this national skills development strategy. We have also to consider the lessons learned from the previous strategy, which is under implementation. So this is how it is done. The strategy will indicate the number of skills, but also the levels of skills from the primary to the intermediate to the high levels. So normally it is done in selected sectors. We call them priority sectors. The previous one that we are implementing has like 6 priority sectors, but now we have improved during this review. We are going to have 10 sectors of priority. I will mention some of them: construction, healthcare, mining, ICT, of course, agriculture and agribusiness. So just to mention some of them. And I'm glad the Minister for Education here pointed out the changes in technology are very rapid. It seems unfair to rely on a 10 years strategy. It seems too rigid and too long. So it also, the strategy itself emphasizes the need for research, but the need to constantly collect data which will make us informed so that we make informed decision. So I totally see the importance of, for example, doing continuous stressor studies, being informed of what the response of the market there, and also observing trends worldwide all the time, and then we have to be able to promptly take actions where it is needed. And as for what is done to support this skills development, it includes institutional reforms. For example, the establishment of the National Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training in Tanzania is one of those steps, ensuring that skills that are offered in those that are required in the market, but also the quality of what is being offered. We have reformed in our systems the policy. We have now, for example, a new policy which was reviewed like less than 2 years ago, which emphasizes on skills and has supported introduction of vocational secondary schools. We didn't have those before, but we have started vocational secondary schools with the goal of having at least 30% of our secondary schools offering those skills. But also we have programs like recognition of prior learning, whereby we recognize, as Madam from Polytechnic here was saying, recognition of what has been learned from the non-formal system. And now this has now benefited like more than 24,000 people in my country. So we are proceeding with plans of benefiting more. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lingvanda. Ms. Vani Shudende, can you please share with us how Nigeria is prioritizing skills development and mainly in order to enhance youth employment? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Boriana. I would like to thank the government of Rwanda for putting this together, the Ministry of Education, the TVET board. This has been an amazing experience. To respond to this, Nigeria, first of all, historically has a very robust understanding and appreciation for skills development as key to economic development. Being a very large country, we have hundreds of higher colleges of technology, we have polytechnics, monotechnics. More recently, we have innovation enterprises for institutions as well. So we've worked on over the last several decades, having a very robust structure that underpins provision of skills development across different levels in the country. More recently, Nigeria has also focused on developing the curriculum, trying to align the skills development curriculum within these institutions with international standards. So there's been a lot of curriculum review, especially in trying to address the current needs of the labor market. So we have a lot more of a focus on cybersecurity, a lot more of a focus on cloud computing, AI, to try to meet with the demands in the labor market. We have been working on a lot of collaborations with the international community and different bodies, including the World Bank, on several different initiatives and projects with varying levels of success. We have the 3 million technical talent project. We have the C4 State Empowerment Project. We have many different projects that are currently or very recently being concluded in Nigeria, working with the private sector and international bodies. One of the major things that Nigeria has also been working on in terms of leveraging technology for skills development is in terms of access. We have recently had a collaboration that now allows for technical institutions to have open and distance learning projects, which greatly increases the numbers of people from rural areas, urban areas, that are able to access skills development programs through online learning and distance learning programs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very interesting. Dr. Liang is the author of the World Bank report, How Shanghai Does It, which also informed the East Africa Skills for Transformation and Regional Integration project. Please share some practices and strategies that can actually boost TVET with us today.
Thank you very much for the question, and I also want to thank the host for inviting me and inviting the World Bank to join this very important forum. Yes, as most of you are familiar with the scope of our work, especially in the Africa region, and we are perhaps the largest external financier of education, including in the space of skills and TVET. I'm currently in the global unit in education, so overlooking all our programs in Skill TVET. But of course, you mentioned I personally come from China, East Asia, so I'm particularly familiar with the East Asia TVET system. I will have a presentation in the afternoon, which will share more in depth some of the good practices. But here, just to say a few, I think, of course, TVET alone is not going to create jobs, and we have to recognize that. Jobs is a big agenda for us in the bank, but also something we keenly care about in this country and in the continent. Sometimes we sort of confuse, saying that, okay, maybe TVET can create jobs. I think we have to be honest that we are an important factor, a critical factor, but TVET alone is not going to create jobs. However, that being said, what are the important principles, pillars to make the TVET system effective, to make it future-oriented? I think we can learn so much from the audience, from the colleagues here, and especially the more traditional, classical, the European systems. I think we have colleagues here representing Switzerland, Germany. In a way, dual training track is very a good example of how training can be done in close collaboration with industries. But increasingly, you see that a different model emerging, especially from East Asia. That is a lot more school-based. But even with school-based provision, you can have very vibrant collaboration with industries across, from developing the curriculum to delivering the curriculum to assessing the students to evaluating the program. So I think we have to also recognize the different modalities of TVET, and as long as they work closely with industry, here I don't even say private sector, because I do recognize that governments and even state-owned enterprises, they are also our employers. They are also industry leaders. So I like to say industry engagement, industry not just in the traditional technical industry, but also including agriculture and services. They are all our industry partners. So I mentioned the importance of working with industry, but also the quality of basic education. I think here, I don't need to repeat, but I know as a continent, overall, Africa does not participate too much in international assessment, but the quality of basic education have more challenges. And the access to secondary education, even in Rwanda, I'm made aware by my colleague that we only have about 30% of the students in secondary education. So here, it seems to me that is the biggest bottleneck. Even before we talk about TVET or higher education, what are we doing to address this important bottleneck in terms of basic education? Quality standards also, I don't know how much but I like the opening speech saying that, yes, inclusion is important, but also excellence, quality for TVET. Here, I like to say that we need to think about, when we think about TVET, we tend to think we need to align with industry, with private sector, but yet we also need to align with our students. We need to align with education philosophies, human development. So that part of the standards quality is something we need to look into because industry may be myopic. They are looking at today, maybe the next 12 months, but who is responsible for our youth? We have to look into the future. How do we make them resilient, adaptable? How do we combine the education standards, excellent standards, with the occupational standards? How do we translate both, mingle both in our curriculum? Is really important. Finally, I want to mention this. One last point is about autonomy and accountability. We tend to have, once we have a governance system, we tend to become quite rigid. And often you hear stories about program taking forever to be approved, and how are we doing in terms of granting the autonomy to our providers, make them accountable to deliver. I think there's a lot the government can do to create that environment whereby we incentivize all our TVET providers to deliver, to be accountable, and to give them autonomy to develop a curriculum with industry to support the local market and to support their group of students. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liang. Ms. von Harrach, we've heard a lot about the Swiss and the German and the Austrian vocational education and technical systems, which are renowned to be among the most successful ones. So can you please share with us some of the prominent features of these systems and why they are aligned to the labor market needs so efficiently? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Boriana, for the question, and also I would join my predecessors to thanking the government of Rwanda for inviting us. I'm representing the donor committee for dual vocation education and training today, and to share our experiences. So the donor committee had been created exactly 10 years ago, so in June 2015, by 4 countries, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and Liechtenstein, to support particular dual vocational education in the partner countries. Yeah, and why do these 4 countries believe they can so? Yeah, it is because dual vocational education is very much rooted in the society of these 4 countries. So it's a vocational education that is combined and is recognized with really high quality as technical education, and it also receives a really high social recognition in our country. So it's not, as we heard it also today in one of the speeches, it's not a second choice pathway, but it's actually also considered as a first choice pathway. So secondary students decide specifically to go for vocational education because it's really well recognized, the profession, and supports then also into the integration into society for these young people. So yeah, I mean, it's a partnership model, we call it in our countries. It's a strong partnership model between the world of work and the world of education and school, and that makes it really quite powerful. So the connection of work, of education, and also then the state is there. So that's really super important for us. Yeah, the recognition comes also because it's really very much aligned with the demands of the market. So it's very closely connected with the labor market demands. And I think for here we have also to look into the history of dual VET in these countries. If you look into Germany, for example, the dual VET system started already in the 14th century with the guilds, has then been further developed in industrialization, and yeah, in the 20th century, really the industry came into it as an important stakeholder in dual VET, and an important milestone event took place in '69 when a Vocational Training Act has been signed, which is really a tripartite governance structure between employees, employers, and the state, and that makes it also powerful that we see there is a joint ownership and co-responsibility to implement dual VET in these countries. I was also very pleased to hear that in Rwanda we are also there yet that the private sector sees its ownership in vocational education, which we believe it's fundamental to really have to see that the private sector owns vocational education, so they train because they see a need in their own production line. They know that it's important for them to invest in future skills, to overcome their own shortages and to boost their own productivity and business, which is really fair enough. But just not only the co-ownership, what we also see important in our countries is the co-construction of the dual VAT system. So the private sector is on board in these countries to determine the training regulations, the standards, also the curricula that's really determined by contract in these contracts, and this makes it also very powerful that the private sector sees it brings me something, it's beneficial for me, and yeah, it's not just a charity for them, it's actually a strategy for their own business improvement. And here we see also that this is what it makes the system sustainable, when the private sector actually sees it, it's long-term value into it. Yeah, so that's really the key features aligned with the market demands. The private sector trains because they want to hire, and that it also makes it clear when the private sector looks for apprentice, the private sector hires the apprentice themselves. It's not the government or the schools who give them these apprentices. They are involved. They hire them, and that's where we can see they train because they want then to hire these apprentices later on in their companies, and they don't train just to certify and to fulfill quotas for the government. So that's all important in terms of sustainability of this dual VAT system. However, maybe just as a final point, I mean, this dual VAT system evolved really over years in these countries, and the outcomes, in particular in Germany and Switzerland, we can see a very low youth unemployment rate, thanks to the fact that the companies hire. But it's not a quick win, so this takes time. And yeah, when we work with partner countries, we always advise, as a country, national strategies have to have a long-term horizon. It cannot come overnight. Many players are on board, a dynamic ecosystem with the private sector, with the TVETs, associations, coordination bodies to be on board. This takes time, so don't rush. Be aware that this is a long-term horizon, but it bears its fruits and it's beneficial, as we can see in our countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Muccio, back to you, because we were talking a lot about quality and excellence and relevance. So what are the plans of Rwanda to expand quality education and training?
So the plans are mainly to continue investing in the human capital development. Here I'm not talking about the students only, but also the teachers. Training, the capacity building for the teachers in technical training, but also in pedagogical training to make sure that the quality is emphasized, the learning experience of the students are achieved, and also the increasing, the enabling environment. Digital infrastructure is very important, especially when you look at the needs of the market, but also where the economies are evolving. There is a lot of digital technology involved. So the investment is also making sure that we have the right environment for that, and making sure that the students also get to be independent learners, because it's very important. When they get out there, they are released out there. They have to learn over time. They are lifelong learners, and this is enabled mainly also by technology, where students explore different abilities that they have. In increasing the quality, it's also make sure we have right processes to make sure the standards are achieved, and this is whether in curriculum development, whether working with the private sector to make sure that the programs are aligned with what is needed, but also in allowing the private sector also to be part of the training. So this is something that Yes, it's done at basic education, TVET education, but also at higher TVET. So we've invested much in exploring, yes, there is the development of the programs, but also how inviting them to also keep the conversation going together. So we are doing this mainly in ICT, but also in the agriculture sector, whereby there are some of the needs that are put forward, and we are trying to see how our program can adjust without going into a full curriculum development. So keep adapting the needs, but also technology that is evolving as well. So it's very important and still challenging, I would say. How do you quickly adapt the content without waiting the 3 years regulation of curriculum development? And these have to be work hand in hand with the private sector. Also invite them to teach some courses, and this kind of open the minds of the students, and they are to be really ready for the market. Apart from investing also in with our strategy of having 60% of TVET learners at a basic level, there is the plan of having vocation schools of excellence, and these have to have, you know, put forward that excellence in the training, but also these people who will come out are ready for work, but also they are ready to be entrepreneurs, also create jobs out there. And this is very important. Maybe one quick example is the Rwanda Coding Academy, which has produced really tremendous graduates who are currently making strides in the IT sector, you know, building systems, you know, developing softwares that are needed by the public, even as we are employing some of these graduates to build our e-portfolio system for our students. So we see a lot of impact with these kind of schools of excellence as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muccio. Ms. Vani, what would you advise educators and teachers? Because today we have a lot of TVET teachers, not only companies and employers, but also our technical teachers and students. So how would you advise them to ensure that the future workforce is actually adequately trained and prepared for the world of work? In a world that is relying on technology, but also there is a need of soft skills that are not to be forgotten. Thank you.
Certainly. So I should have mentioned earlier that I represent the private sector. I'm an education consultant, and so this is a conversation that we have with training teachers and school heads quite a bit. I think the first and most important thing as an educator to be cognizant of is the deep consciousness that the students, the children in our care, are the jobs that they will do, the problems that they will solve are not yet known to us. And this creates a very different education paradigm. So that means that as educators, we have to constantly be unlearning, relearning, and modeling this lifelong learning to our students. We have to understand that the students that we work with are digital natives. And very often that means that we ourselves need to push ourselves beyond any limits of our own education, constantly getting new training, constantly making ourselves more tech savvy so that we do not hold them back, so to speak. For many of us who grew up on the African continent, perhaps our education was really devoid of a focus on technology. I always say our children, our students, are going to be competing with children from all over the world. They're going to be collaborating with children from all over the world. So as an educator, it's really critical to have that mindset, that how am I going to play a critical role in letting these students understand that they will participate actively and hopefully even lead a world where there are no borders, a world where they have to be digital natives, where we're kind to their futures now. So we have to model this and we have to push beyond our own personal boundaries. Secondly, I think something that we see in Nigeria as well as perhaps other African countries is we need to look at a focus on social emotional learning. This is not something that you typically will hear. Soft skills are important as well, but social emotional learning is something that, as far as we know, robots and AI and algorithms are not going to be able to replicate in quite the same way. So it's important that our students are able to understand resilience, that they're able to have emotional intelligence. So not just a die-hard focus on academic performance, but also a focus on how we collaborate with others, how we treat each other, how we're sensitive to taking care of our own needs as well. So a really balanced curriculum, I think, is key to performance of our students in this tech-driven future. Another thing that I would say is really critical for educators who are the drivers of, skills development for the future is that we really have to focus on how can we ensure that there is a huge focus on student agency. Again, this is not in line with the traditional education model and perhaps what we see here in our parts of the world. It's really difficult for a lot of educators who are traditionally trained to go from being the sage on the stage, so to speak, to the guide on the side. But student agency is actually really critical to an enterprising mindset. Very often we find that within our education systems, and I can only speak for ours in Nigeria, very often we find that there's such a focus on academic performance, passing exams, so to speak, and that's academic rigor is important, don't get me wrong, but it's also really critical that it goes beyond academic performance to situations where students see themselves as being able to solve problems in society. And I don't think that it's only a focus on one particular strand of pedagogy, say project-based learning. It has to go beyond that to the way we set up our classroom environments, to the kinds of influence, the power dynamics, if you will, within the classroom and how students feel like they have influence over their learning journeys. That creates the foundation for an entrepreneurial mindset. It's really important that our students develop skills, but most of these skills, especially in a case like Nigeria, are going to be within the context of a business. So an entrepreneurial mindset, an entrepreneurial understanding is actually really critical because we want our students at the end of the day to not just be job seekers and job takers. We want our students to end up being partners in the labor market, employers of labor themselves. So in order to empower them in this way, they have to see themselves differently, understand their role in education quite differently. The final thing I'll say is they really need to start young. As I mentioned earlier, I represent the private sector, and my consultancy firm actually works, for example, with children between the ages of 13 to 17 to help mentor them, incubate them, and provide investment for them for their businesses. So children as young as 13, and we have one of them from Nigeria actually here with us today, children as young as 13 can have their own businesses. We don't have to wait till the end of, the secondary education or go into higher education for them to start deciding to go into TVET. Early on in their education, they can start thinking very differently about the role that they can play in job creation, in society, in solving societal problems. I think this is a shift that we as private sector representatives are working towards more. Teachers not only, or educators, school leaders not only have to look at the taught curriculum, they also have to look at opportunities within extracurricular activities, within holiday programs to start to develop these skills really early on.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lingwanda, how can we combine science and technology with practical work-based learning? Is it possible, and how to do that?
Thanks again, Boriana, a great question. I would like to think that we can have several ways of integrating technology into our learning systems. For example, based on curricula, we can allow digital platforms, e-learning programs, having simulations, those visual reality, and augmented reality, the technology application in curricula. But also, we can set up innovation hubs, including centers of excellence, to bring people together from different backgrounds so that they can sit and research and implement. We can also emphasize on the collaboration between TVET institutions and universities. I think we are used to everybody working on their own, but I think we need to come together such that the research outputs can be implemented. For example, production being facilitated by TVET institutions, ideas coming from universities, and vice versa. So what I would like to see is our systems being friendly to welcoming different approaches, because I think we need a good mix of these. From the example that I've just mentioned, if we can have systems that allow implementation of different alternatives, I think that could be the best approach. But if we speak about efficiency in skills development, then the question comes really on the affordability of the system itself, but also the fulfillment of what is needed in the industry. I think that is key. When you go to TVET forums, almost all of them, you'll for sure hear about this skill mismatch. Even today, we have heard of the same. Our question is, who is creating this skill mismatch? We as regulators, we are talking about skill mismatch, the ministry, the industry. And I think one way is to involve the industry in the training, that work-based learning. We can do it in different ways. One of them, and especially for skills that are growing, not the basic skills. The basic skills, for example, in my country, we already do that. We have these dual apprenticeship programs set up whereby we have time in classes and time in the services and industries. That's okay, but we are not yet there when it comes to high-level skills. And I think this is one thing that we need to execute, because when it comes to high-level skills, these people already have some basic skills. Our system for now require them to come to classes full-time again if you want to upgrade your skills. But with a model that we have a shared responsibility between the training institutions and the industry. We place them at the industries, they work. We provide them with digital platforms where they can have their materials to learn or to get that theory part. And then we have institutions with the programs that can assess and certify them. I think that will solve a big part of what we call skill mismatch. And along with that, we know it is normally expensive to set up a complete training institution with all the facilities. In Tanzania right now, we are improving the access for TVET. We are constructing vocational centers for each district. So there are like 64 that are near completion of construction. Now the question comes, the learning materials, the physical materials that they need and equipment. But if we can utilize the facilities that do exist in the service, in the industries, then part of the problem could be solved using actual physical resources that are available in the market. The students, if they have that kind of access and learning of the theoretical part, as I mentioned, then part of the problem of having not affording those training facilities would be reduced. But this model could also improve the linkage between industry and the training institution, which we really like to see it happening. We are coming there. It is a slow process, and I'm glad from those who are experienced say we should be patient. We would like to see more fruits from it, not yet to be realized, but I think we are coming there. But also, we should see this as a win-win situation, that kind of setups, because there is a potential of increasing productivity when you engage these learners as a person who is doing business. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We only have 2 more questions, and this would be the panel. Dr. Liang, how can we make sure that we actually address the needs of the emerging sectors, such as renewable energy, for example, or ICT, and that we actually produce adequately the workforce that they need? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's difficult. What I would say is, if we try to, of course, we need to work with these emerging sectors, identify who they are, which companies, which enterprises. I always say that there's somewhere in those industries, there must be a lead one that sort of represents some standards, right? I'm sure when you think about renewable energy, let's say you say solar panel, there must be a few players that sort of leading the industry in the sense of standards and technology. So I really think it's important for us to identify those that we can bring them to help shape the training curriculum. The same way like in the, I remember we have projects like for Ethiopia as part of the East Africa Skills for Transformation EASTRIP project. We have like automobile sector, but increasingly now there is a need to develop EVs, yet we lack standards. We don't have a curriculum right now in TVET for standards of curriculum in those new emerging sectors. So I think it's important to identify those companies. Sometimes they're right here in your country by the multinational or other, overseas company, foreign companies. Sometimes you have to go out and find them and bring them to shape your curriculum, to develop your corporation. I want to also share that the importance of such standards. TVET has to keep evolving, which means we have to have mechanisms in each of our institutions to be able to learn, to adapt, to evaluate. Such mechanism, you may call it different names, but mostly you call it internal quality assurance. Sometimes you use industry advisory committees or curriculum development committees, whichever name, but that mechanism is so important. Who are in these committees? Who you bring? If you can bring the relevant industries, enterprises of the new emerging sectors to shape your curriculum, to shape your technology, to bring your students and faculty out to intern there, you're already way ahead in terms of developing such programs. So from the government perspective, we need to create such incentive for our providers to work with such companies. That's what I meant by saying autonomy and accountability. In China, I want to say one more example is that, we have perhaps has the most complete list of industries, all industries. The TVET sector, in a way, it sort of enables such industry value addition, increasing value addition. How does TVET keep up? I think there's a very elaborate system of them upgrading the curriculum. I think recently the ministry announced they've just upgraded more than 780 curriculum standards, which cover almost all the emerging sectors. And they did not take overnight. It's effort of the last 10 years for them to constantly renew the curriculum standards based on the industry needs. And they do that at the national level by the Ministry of Human Resources, Social Security, and Ministry of Education. But they also do it at every college, university level, every program level, using those committees, advisory committees, industry committees. They're constantly updating the curriculum. And they're being accountable in terms of the enrollment, but also the labor market outcome of the students. If for several years the graduates are not getting jobs, their program may be cut. So we have to introduce such kind of accountability system to make sure we adapt, we align, but we are also future oriented.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liang. Last question, and then maybe we'll have some time for questions, but let's see how we are. So, Ms. Von Haar, from your vast experience in various countries in Africa and Asia as well, please, what are some key factors to make sure that we actively engage the industry? Because we are constantly saying how important that is, but I'm not sure that everyone knows how we can do that. How can we achieve it? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this important question. I also got the message to really keep it short, but we will also have a workshop in the afternoon exactly on that. So involving the business sector is crucial. As I mentioned earlier, it's really the co-constructor of the dual VAT system. So how to engage the private sector? First of all, the private sector has to see that the dual VAT system is benefiting them. So if it's not, then they will not be there. They have to see the quality of the training system and all the steps and parameters of the system. They have to be in line with their own business logic. So private sector speaks business, and this is what we have to learn when we work with them, that we have to adapt to this business logic. Yeah, from the donor committee, we work globally in various countries, and maybe I can just in a nutshell give some key takeaways or factors that we consider important for the collaboration with the private sector. So one, first and foremost, is really the quality of the training. So we really have to ensure in vocational education that the trainings follow standards that are agreed upon, that curriculums are aligned, instructors and facilities have all been somehow in a certain, required to certain standards. So that's important for the private sector to be on board. And that's even more important than the financings. just briefly talk about an experience in Indonesia. So the government set up really a very interesting tax incentive system for training companies, but it didn't really fly that well. And yeah, it was found out that the reason why the private sector still didn't get into it was that they didn't believe in the quality of the training system. So that's why we say the quality and standards for the training system is really fundamental. Another really important point is that, as has been mentioned already earlier, is really the relevance of the training, and that's really aligned with the actual needs of the private sector. So we hear it in countries that the private sector expresses frustrations if they have to train on elements that are not really close to their realities in the industry. So it's really fundamental that this has been negotiated together, private sector, training institutes and the government, so to sit together and agree on what are the curricula, standardize them for the respective sectors. And for example, in Pakistan, we received a message that this has been actually put in a contract, in a work-based training contract that's really clear, and the private sector can actually stick to it and knows that it's happening. Another element that is sometimes a bit underestimated, but we heard it now quite often, is that the private sector requires a clear access point, a coordinator. So if they have to understand through their loose informal network how training is then done at school, how is it actually operating, that is not very motivating. For the private sector, it's really important that it is organized, there's a strategy behind, and allocated staff to coordinate the elements. The incentives, I talked about earlier, Indonesia with the financial incentives, so it's a critical thing, but of course, to kickstart a system, the financings can be an important tool, but always related to quality. So to really first make sure that the training receives good quality and does not enter into a sort of destroying the market system. So in Mongolia, for example, the government has set up a scheme with offering employment loans in the private sector, which was really quite beneficial. So one element to support financially. But we also hear that it's not only the financing that the private sector appreciates, for them it's also the recognition. So if the government recognizes you are a training company and you are really supporting our economy through being engaged as a training company, that's also something that is very valuable and not to be underestimated as a sort of incentive. Yeah, then finally, and that goes also back what I said earlier, is the real eye-to-eye partnership, not to come as in kind of imposing a dual VAT system, but to really develop it together with the stakeholders, to really look where are some prospering areas or sectors where it's very obvious that with some support in the production system and the skilled workers, that's something where it's good to start in introducing a dual VAT system. So maybe just to summarize, it's really the quality that matters, the relevance and the respect for the private sector, and to understand that it's a social contract between all stakeholders, the private sector, the state, the apprentice, the employees, and based on mutual trust, the stakeholders have to trust each other in this journey.
Thank you so much. It was really interesting discussion. I hope it was also interesting for the audience. Please be aware, before you applaud, our lovely panelists will be with us the whole 2 days, and we are here to network, so this is just the beginning of the conversation. So please, a big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. I just suggest that we proceed to coffee break in the next sessions, and we network in a less formal manner in the upcoming days. Thank you. So this was the end of the panel.
Thank you very much indeed. A big round of applause one more time for all our panelists and our moderator. So next, what is going to happen, as Boriana alluded to, we are going to go for a coffee break. That coffee break will be approximately 30 minutes. So the workshop sessions will start at 11:30. Now we have set up coffee here at the foyer, here on the Kilimanjaro room, but also downstairs at the meeting rooms where some of the sessions are going to be taking place, some of the workshops. Now, I encourage you to look at your badge at the back. You will have the exact rooms where you're supposed to be headed to for the next sessions. So that will be from 11:30. And they will last about an hour and a half, and after that we will be breaking for lunch. So thank you everyone for being here. Please do enjoy your coffee. It is probably the best coffee in the world. Unless you come from a coffee producing country and you believe yours is better. But we know, we don't believe, we know Rwanda. No, Rwanda has some of the best coffee in the world. Thank you very much, everyone. And enjoy your coffee, enjoy your break. And we'll see you back at 11:30.
Sorry, I don't know if you... the workshop sessions will be all downstairs, so one floor down from here. There are stairs on the left. Thank you.
There you go. So the workshops are all downstairs. So once you're done with your coffee, you can turn to your left. You will see the first set of stairs that go downstairs to the meeting rooms where the workshops are going to take place. So once again, enjoy your coffee, and we'll see you at 11:30 in the meeting rooms.